Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? How are you guys doing, man? Hey, this is Gregory Wiles coming live to you from Houston, Texas with Inspirational Morning Talk. For first-time listeners, I'm on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8:45 a.m. Central Time. You can calculate the time zone that you are in. But yes, it's another great day here. It's another great day, man. Another day that God keep me on this earth here to do His work. And that's what I'm going to do, man. So just remember, you can always go on YouTube. I was a little behind in uploading and getting caught up, but everything, if you miss something or you like what you hear and you want to hear more, you could always go on YouTube and check it out. Just go to YouTube and search Gregory Wiles and the channel will pop up. Man, you can subscribe while you're there so you wouldn't miss anything. All right, but today what I want to talk about is temptation. Let's talk about temptation because we can be facing different forms of temptation right throughout because that's what the enemy do, right? The enemy gonna tempt us because you remember the goal of the enemy is to stop our blessings. The way how we gonna stop our blessings, good morning Jillian, good morning, the way how we can stop our blessings is to cause us to break God laws. Once we break God laws, that's when it's gonna be all over for us. It's break his laws. This when he got access to stop the things that God put in place for us. Good morning, Beverly Gomes. Good morning. How are you doing? So that's all his goal is to get us to break God's laws, right? And how much more he can get you to break it by tempting you with different things. And remember, the things that he's going to tempt you with is the things you're more vulnerable to, the things you're weak to, right? Like with this scripture here, James 1, 14. James 1, 14 says, temptation comes from your own desires, which entice us and drag us away from our own desire. So the thing that we're vulnerable to, the thing that we're weak towards, the enemy going to use that to tempt us, right? So let's look at some things here. Let's first look at this law on temptation here in 1 Corinthians. This is the law concerning temptation in 1 Corinthians 10, 12 to 13. 1 Corinthians 10, 12 to 13. It said, if you think you are standing strong, if you think you're standing strong, be careful not to fall. Don't get too cocky and say to yourself, I good, I got this, and you get too overconfident, right? So if you think you're standing strong, be careful not to fall. The temptation in your life are no different from what others experience. So we all be tempted with similar things. We can all be tempted with similar things. No temptation can be unique to one person. It can be unique to you because of your own desires, but it's the same set of temptation out there we get in tempt with, right? And God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. So he's saying any temptation we coming up against, we can resist it. God can give you the temptation. Let me read it again. And God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. When you are tempted, he will show you a way out so that you can endure. But the problem is sometimes we don't look for the way and we don't take the way. We go straight ahead in that temptation, right? So let me read the whole thing together now. If you think you are standing, this is 1 Corinthians 10, 12, and 13. If you think you are standing strong, be careful not to fall. The temptation in your life are no different from what others experience. And God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. When you are tempted, he will show you a way out so that you can endure. So we can endure the temptation, guys. Just remember, the enemy is going to try to tempt us in different areas. And he use our own desires to tempt us, right? Remember, his goal is to get us to break God's laws. To get us to break God's laws. Once we break in the law, that's what the scripture said. A man who break a hedge, a serpent will bite you. That's the laws. When you break the laws, that's when the enemy can get you. That's the serpent is the enemy. And the hedge is laws. Right? Just try and remember the scripture I found where it could be found in the Bible, but it said, if you break a hedge, a serpent will bite you. And that's what they're talking about, right? So anyhow, let's look at Genesis 39, 6 through 12, and see how Joseph was tempted and how Joseph handled this. You know, we hear the story a lot of times, but we're going to pick out some little nuggets you might overlook before. Right? This is a lot of little things we can pick up from this story, but I'm going to use this on the part of temptation and show you how Joseph handled the temptation, right? And how the enemy tricks and how Joseph handled it, right? This is Genesis 39, 6 through 12. You can read Genesis 39, 6 through 12. Remember, Joseph's brothers had sold him into slavery. They were jealous of him and they sold him into slavery. And after the selling, first they threw him in this pit and then they sell him into slavery. So when they sell him into slavery, this guy Potiphar, who was, had a big position there, he had bought him as a slave, right? He had bought him. Ainsworth McCann, good morning, how are you doing? So he had bought him as this slave, right? And so he had him in his house. So I can pick it up from there. Genesis 39, 6 through 12 says, so Potiphar gave Joseph complete administrative responsibility over everything he owned. Potiphar gave Joseph administrative ability over everything he owned. When Joseph was there, he didn't worry about a thing except what kind of food to eat. So Potiphar gave Joseph, all who just join in, we're talking about temptation this morning, about temptation, right? So Potiphar gave Joseph, he said, man, look, when Joseph is there, he don't worry about a thing. You run my household. You run it. The only decision I'm going to make is what food I want to eat for that particular day. Any other decision, you got my full authority to run my household. I ain't going to make no more decisions. Only thing I can decide is what I'm going to eat, right? So Potiphar gave Joseph the type of power over his household. So Joseph was a very handsome and well-built young man. Joseph was a very handsome and well-built young man. And Potiphar's wife soon began to look at him lustfully. That's one of the temptation, lust, right? Lust. So the enemy used lust through her to bring down Joseph. Because you remember those dreams and stuff that Joseph had, God got some serious plans for Joseph. If you know the rest of Joseph's story, God got some serious plans for Joseph to save this whole nation, right? To save millions of people. God got his plan. So the enemy got to try some way to bring down Joseph. That's all what's going on, guys. The enemy knows the plans God have for you, and he going to use anything he can to stop those plans. Right? That's all his goal is. He don't care about me. He don't care about you by name and all of that. All he looking and he know the plans God got for you, Desiree. Big sis, how you doing? How you doing? So he know the plans he got for you, and that's his goal. Right? So he coming after Joseph through this man's wife, right? So let's look at it again. But Joseph was a very handsome and well-built young man, and Potiphar's wife soon began to look at him lustfully. Come and sleep with me, she demanded. So she's telling Joseph, come sleep with me. Because you know once Joseph do that, what's going to happen, right? This man give you authority over his home. Right? Okay, let's go on and bring it out a little bit more. So in 8, this is Genesis 39. Now we're on 8. But Joseph refused. Look, he told her, my master trusts me with everything in his entire household. My master trusts me with everything in his entire household. No one here has more authority than I do. Joseph to this man, put all this confidence and trust in me. I can't do this. He has held back nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. See, that's what I'm talking about. The enemy is not going to tempt Joseph with anything else. He's going to tempt him with the one forbidden thing. Here Joseph said, my master held back nothing from me except you, because you were his wife. So what's the one opportunity the enemy have to tempt him in? To break the law. The enemy can't say, well, I'm going to tempt you for go make a decision to tell these people go and do this. No, that was allowed. The master said you got full authority to do that. But what's the one thing? The one thing that the master held back? Miss Tellman, good morning, how are you? The one thing is his wife. So what's the opportunity the enemy have for tempt you in that one area, right? Remember in the Garden of Eden? When God tell Adam, you can eat from any fruit in the garden, but don't eat from this particular tree. The tree of knowledge, right? You can eat for anything. So what the enemy had to tempt Eve with, he can't say, well, Eve, look, some nice big juicy fat mangoes there, Eve. Go pick a mango, the nice and ripe. No, he ain't going to tempt her with a mango because the mango was allowed. Oh, look, Eve, look those nice big juicy grapes there, Eve. Look how nice and big. Go and pick one of those grapes. No, because grapes were allowed. But what is the thing the enemy gonna tempt us with? The thing that is forbidden. Because again, his goal is to get us to break God's law. God said don't do this. That's the thing he wants to get you to do, right? So we gotta be vigilant. We gotta be vigilant when temptation comes. Most time when these temptation come, it's to break a law. It's to break a law. So let's see. Let's go on, right? So where are we? Our authority is nothing to held back. So no one here has more authority than I do. He has held back nothing from me except you because you're his wife. How could I do such a wicked thing? Here, Joseph giving us the protocol how to handle this stuff. Renita, good morning. Good morning. How are you? How could I do such a wicked thing? It would be a great sin against God. You see, Joseph, get this. This is the protocol we should be following. This is the protocol. You see how Joseph looking at this? Joseph stopped looking at his master now. Joseph said, how could I do such a thing? It would be a great sin against God. Because Joseph understand this thing. Joseph ain't looking at the master no more. Yes, this is his master wife. That's what Paul was saying. Don't let's look at the thing that we can see. The thing that we can see is not the real thing. Yes, this is my master wife. Yes, she tempted me to sleep with her. But if I do that, I am sinning against God. It's God's law I'm breaking. Because adultery is a sin. And if I go and sleep with this married woman, that's a sin. He stopped looking at the master now. He said this is bigger than just hurting the master. This is bigger than just hurting the master. I'm breaking God's law. Once I break God's law, I'm exposing myself to a whole lot of problems. And that's what the enemy wants. This is what the enemy knows. When we think we're just being tempted to do this little thing, he's saying, yeah. It's bigger than that. It's not just apologizing to this man and this man getting upset with you and kicking you out his house. No. This is bigger than that. You're breaking spiritual law, which got serious ramifications more than the man just kicking you out his house and throwing you in jail as Joseph went to jail over this. It's bigger than that. That's just on the surface. This is God's laws. And once we break in, that's bigger spiritual ramifications, guys. So that's what the enemy knows. And that's all he's seeking, right? She kept putting pressure. This is 10 now. Genesis 39, we on 10. She kept putting pressure on Joseph day after day, but he refused to sleep with her. And he kept out of her way as much as possible. One day, however, no one else was around when he went in to do his work. And that's what we got to be careful for. Don't put yourself in positions like the Estelle pastors and any form of counseling, especially preachers and stuff. When you counseling, always have somebody else there with you. Especially if you're in the ministry, you're married, you're doing counseling, you're counseling anybody now. You have someone else there with you. Don't be doing this counseling one-on-one, because it could end up a situation just like this woman here and Joseph. That enemy could create these situations. Remember, even if this person tell a lie on you, it's still damaging you because it's your word against their words. Only two of you guys was there. It's your word against their word. Some people can believe, some people are going to not, but it's going to mess you up still. So let's see what go on here. So one day, however, no one else was around when he went in to do his work. She came and grabbed him by his cloak, demanding, come on, sleep with me. Joseph tore himself away, but he left his cloak in her hands and ran out from the house. I ain't gonna go on from there, more from there. It bring out what I want to bring out. But because he left the cloak in her hands, she's going to accuse him of trying to rape her. He said, look, this guy come in and I snatch his cloak, he tried to rape me, and then when I scream, he run away. And they end up, the master gets so, upset with Joseph and send him to prison and all that. But that's not the part I'm focusing right now. I'm focusing on how Joseph handled the temptation and the tricks of the enemy. I'm trying to reveal the tricks of the enemy. How he going to set you up now. Okay, you're not buying on this temptation, so I got to create an opportunity now to still cause the situation to mess you up. Right? So even though she lied on him, right? But God still had plans for Joseph. He didn't get the main thing here. Even though Joseph went to prison, God can still work in his life. The enemy still didn't have a hold over him because he did not break God's law. He did not break God's law. Even though he went to prison physically, he did not break God's law. So the enemy still couldn't stop his plans. God could still do his work in him. Right? So that's the goal. So I'm saying some things you might be tempted to do. People can be tempting you to do it. People can coming up to you with all kind of indecent proposal. Remember the movie Indecent Proposal with Julia Roberts? I don't know who the guy named. When this guy had come and tell them, I give you guys that had financial issues going on, and he said, man, I give you $1 million to sleep with your wife. Just to sleep with her one time, I give you $1 million. Because he was trying to prove a point that everybody has a price. Everybody has a price. And he can get people to go against their own morals, go against their own religion. His goal was that everybody had a price. He's a big guy with big money. And that's the point he was trying to prove. Every one of us has a price. So we got to tell the enemy, no, my price is Jesus. You're not going to tempt me. Right? And the movie, you know what happened in the movie, those who watched the movie, they talk about it. First to shut down the whole idea, but then that's all the enemy wants to do, plant a seed. He just wants to plant. This is why you got to shut them stuff down right away. Don't even give it a second thought. Because all he wants to do is plant a seed. Remember the same thing in the Garden of Eden, what the enemy did to Eve. Just tell her. He didn't demand her and fight her down to go and eat the fruit. All he said, man, you know it's not really true what God's saying. If you eat the fruit, you ain't going to die. No, you're going to get more. You can get knowledge just like him. You're going to die. I hope you know that, right? And he done. He ain't come back on her again. He ain't got to fight her down. All he want to do is plant the seed. But if you let the seed sit and you start watering it, it's going to grow. So that's why I got to shut this stuff down. So in the movie, they talk about this. Okay, one-time stuff is not going to do nothing. We get $1 million. We get to take care of all of our debts, and we're going to live happily ever after. It's not like I'm, cheating with him, but it's just a business arrangement. But that's the one-time stuff. Now, destroy the whole marriage. That's all the enemy wants. Maybe them two together had great things God wanted them to do. And he sent this temptation to mess them up, to mess up God's plan. And after it happened, they couldn't deal with it no more. And they end up getting divorced. All right? So we're talking about temptation. Let's go to some other scriptures here. Let's go to some other scriptures. James 4:7. So humble yourselves before God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. You got to resist him with the word. So when these temptations come, once the devil put everything and start with a thought. Look at the nice. And the thing is, like I'm saying, the area where you're going to tempt you in is the area where you're most vulnerable. The area where you're most weak in. If you know stealing is a weakness for you, he's going to tempt you with all different things to steal. Put you in all different positions. Look at the money there. You could get the money, man. No one is around. No one ain't going to see everybody gone home from work, or you coming to work early. Look at this. You can take that. Nobody ain't going to know nothing. And he's going to tempt you. He's not going to tempt you with, if you're a man, he's going to tempt you with women if stealing is your problem. Or he's going to tempt you with stealing if you know drugs is your problem. Right? Whatever is your problem, that's where you can put the most pressure on you on. You can creating opportunities for you to break the word, break the laws in that area, right? So next thing, James 1:14. That's what James 1:14 saying. Temptation comes from your own desire. Temptation comes from your own desire, which entice us and drag us away. The temptation comes from own desire. So he know, we talk about monitoring spirits and all that. He know the things that you're weak towards. That's why people who are recovering from different addictions and alcohol and drugs and all that, they tell them stay away from it. Stay far away from it. Don't ever tell yourself, well, I recover, I could go around a lot of people drinking or smoking and it's not going to bother me. He said, no. You stay far away from it. Don't even give the devil the opportunity to tempt you with it. Stay away from it. All right? James 4:17. Remember, it is sin to know what you ought to do and then not do it. So we're saying we know the right thing. Let's do the right thing. Don't let those temptations come and throw us off our track. Don't let the temptation come, right? Remember, it's sin to know what you ought to do and don't do it. Then 1 Peter 5:8 said, stay alert, because that's what the enemy does. This is his job. Stay alert. Watch out for the great enemy, the devil. He prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. That's all he doing. Prowling around like, you know, say he's a lion. He like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Look at Gregory there, okay? He doing this stuff, talking to people in the morning, everything, getting people knowledge. All right, he going around. He's going to stop trying to tempt me for do different things. He's not going to stop trying to tempt me, because all he wants me to do is break God's law, break certain laws. He wants you to break the law. Once you break the law now, he got access to throw you off your track. Like I said, remember, guys, the enemy don't after us because of our name. He ain't after you because of you. He after you because of the gifts that God gives you. Because the gifts that God gives you, you can do great things and affect his kingdom. And that's all he wants to stop you from doing. Take you off of God's plan for your life. And that might mean giving you a lot of money. Throwing you off your track by getting you to go and do something. It might pay you a lot of money, but it's taking you away from what God wants you to do. And that's he good with that, right? Like I talked the story last time I did this. There was one, the soccer players. He was one of the greatest in the world. I think Neymar is his name, and he's a Christian, and he always would put on all these stuff, 100% Jesus, his headband, and he always was promoting Jesus, 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 and the club. And those other parts of it, but the club had offered him almost $500,000 a month to stop airing his political and religious views and some other stuff in their thing, right? But this name Jesus is big, and I'm saying, what's your price? Maybe $500,000 was the price. I don't know if he took it. I didn't, like I said, I didn't go in deep into the story. But the thing is, he talking about Jesus, 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 Jesus. They say, okay, the enemy saying, bro, we got to stop this stuff because you're going to influence millions of people, but this Jesus, I can't have that. I can't have that. So let me find some way to let me stop this promotion. Maybe it's $500,000. I don't know. If the price went up to $1 billion, even the influencers, owners, hey, pay this guy what he wants, because I got to stop this promotion of this Jesus guy because he's messing up my plans. When all these kids around the world see this great soccer player talking about Jesus, give me this skillings because of Jesus, and I got to give praises to God, they going to want to go and follow this God, and they're going to messing up my plans, bro. So that's how serious the enemy is. He can go to any lengths to tempt us, to take us off of our track, guys. So be careful of the temptation, right? So I'm going to read 1 Corinthians again. 1 Corinthians 10, 12 through 13. Now we can wrap it up here. If you think you are standing strong, if you think, don't get too cocky. Always remember, you got to resist the enemy with the word. If you think you're standing strong, be careful not to fall. The temptation in your life are no different from what others are experiencing. Same type of temptation we can be facing, right? And God is faithful. He would not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. God done saying you got the ability to stave off the temptation. You got the ability to stave off the temptation. When you are tempted, he will show you a way out so that you can endure it. He's going to show you a way out, but you got to be looking for the way. You got to be looking for the way. He's going to show you the way how to get out of the temptation. And he said, you got the strength to avoid the temptation. All right, guys, I can leave that there. I can leave it there. But have yourself a great day. Look out for the tricks of the enemy, all those temptations, the things you're going to tempt you strong in. Look at it. It's not right. It's stuff what you're going to do to break God's law. And once you break God's law, he got access to you. That's the only way he can have access to you, is if you break one of God's law. Outside of that, he can't do you nothing until you break God's law. All right? We're going to leave that there. Have a great day, guys. Have a great day. We'll talk again. Today's what? Wednesday. Talk again on Friday. Okay, bye.